Welcome back to another episode of the Resellers Mindset Podcast. My name is Mike, also known as the Used Book Guy on YouTube, along with my friend and fellow full-time reseller, Johnny B. We help people start and grow their reselling businesses from the ground up. We also have a weekly Zoom call and private Discord for all YouTube members. Head on over to youtube.com/usedbookguy to join the channel and gain access to the full-length podcast, Zoom call, and private Discord today. Let's get into this week's episode.
What is up, everyone? Welcome into episode 7. I don't need Johnny B yet, but we're well on our way there. Now it looks like episode 14. Way to go. Today's topic, quarter 4. It's upon us here. It's a little bit different for media sellers and, people that have other business models, but we're going to touch on some topics related to everything selling in quarter 4. And I'm going to start out with the big one that affects me most is Amazon's restock limits. As a media seller, I cannot send in another single item to sell on Amazon, whether that's a book, CD, DVD, anything that can be sold on Amazon. I can't send it in to sell through Amazon FBA. So my business has changed to merchant fulfilled, and we'll get a little bit into that later. And I'm pretty sure it's still the same for Johnny B. I'm not sure where you're at with limits. Do you think you're going to be able to send anything in by the end of quarter 4?
Only if I recall what's already there. It's the only way.
So you're in the same boat, right? So we have a little bit of a different perspective where we are primarily selling on Amazon through FBA. We both do have eBay stores, but we are primarily selling through Amazon FBA, which you send it to them, they handle everything. So our business models basically have changed, completely. We were going north and now we're going south, which necessarily isn't a bad thing, right? You got to adapt, or that's the end of the line. But quarter 4 is the time where, reselling mania occurs, right? Everybody's making all this money. There's all these different bolo items out there. There's always a few every year. Like I'm sure you're going to be running around to all your targets to find the hottest squishmallow to sell on Amazon, right? I've been there before. I've chased some of the more popular things to try to sell them. The Gujitsu figures that people like to sell. Some of those are really rare. Have you done any of that in the past? Like, have you chased any like hot, items that were like flipping for a lot of money, like that you could just go into any store and maybe you get lucky and you find it?
Not for reselling, but just I guess a little bit for reselling because I dabbled in eBay before I took it seriously. I did that with some toys, trying to go into Toys R Us when they were a thing, or Zany Brainy or those kind of type of toy stores. Try to get the Christmas seasonal thing like Furbies, right? You flip Furbies or Beanie Babies back when Beanie Babies were a thing. But outside of that, just for chuckles to see if I could do it and not as a reseller, more of as a hobbyist. That's about it. I have yet to do that, and now that I'm in reselling, I don't think I would do that because it's not my business. Even though, yes, I could. Here's the thing: you can make money in anything in reselling, right? But my focus is in media, and I need to stay in media because if I get, there's a term other groups like to use, and just people in general, squirrel brain, going after the next shiny object, I lose focus on my business, and all my focus needs to be on my business I'm currently running. Any distraction from that is just a disservice to myself, my one employee, part-time employee, and my business as a whole. So I refuse to do it for those reasons.
What's your nearest retailer, like large box, like big box retail store?
Walmart.
How far away you think?
20 minutes.
All right, so we're going to put them to the test right here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so there's a new Furby out this year, right? It's the Jaws Furby, right? It's the shark Furby, right? These things are like $20 at Walmart. They're selling for, I will say, it's selling for $100. Do you have the discipline not to drive over to Walmart to see if you have Jaws Furby in stock?
Yes. It's a waste of gas.
You're better than me, because if my local place, if there's something like that and I knew they were, out there in the wild, I'd be willing, just while I guess it's different for me, right? Because I'm out thrifting, I'm by these stores. But still, you could walk in.
I have a huge task of eBay stuff to do, right? And now I'm trying to get into the huge task of merchant fulfilled. You have the option to do that because you're just trying to you don't have the time sinks that I do. So I get why you do it. I absolutely do.
Yeah, I 100% would go look to see if they had it. I would not chase it to every single Walmart, within 2 hours. I don't think that's smart. But my local one, I'll even say, I don't shop at Walmart for anything. At least the one around me is real bad. So it wouldn't be like I'm going shopping there and I'm going to check. I would just go out of my way one day and just pop in there for 2 minutes, run to the Furby aisle, see if they had it. And that would be the end of it. But yeah, it's like one of those things, right? You got to stay focused on what you're focused on. And I think it's exciting for media sellers every once in a while when something like this comes along, because media isn't the shiniest or funnest business model to have. So you're like, ooh, maybe I can go get this.
I mean, I come across like combo units, Guitar Hero guitars, and things I know to have value all the time, and I just walk on by because that's not my business. But I do know there's money there, and I'm leaving money there. I fully understand what I'm doing, and I hope reseller that deals in that stuff comes along because that's a good deal, right? But if I were to do that, I would have to worry about different kinds of boxes, different kinds of shipping, distracting me from what I've niched down to, because now part of my brain's focusing on looking at everything to see where I can get a dollar. And I'm not saying it's like every seller mentality, because that's a whole different kind of mentality. I just know it to be a distraction, but I also know there is money there. Absolutely, 100%.
I think another thing with quarter four bolo chasing, that it's kind of not the same that it used to be, because now there's so many paid like leads groups, right, where you can pay and be on a leads list. And a lot of the groups are, turning the same information. So what happens is, when their bots found this item, this 100% ROI item, and you've seen that and you run out to get it, by the time you get it, there's probably 1,000 other people that have already went out and got it and listed it as well. So the price is what happens on these popular things, is the prices tank, right? And that's like the big complaint of Amazon, is just the prices just completely tank on things. I've actually had more luck selling bolo items on eBay, the ones I've ran into. A lot of the stuff on Amazon is gated. I'm not ungated in a lot of things. I am ungated in a lot for how long I've had the account, but eBay, I don't know. It seems like the prices seem to, at least for like these hot items, the prices seem to kind of hold steady. And you kind of can have the benefit of doing your listing correctly with pictures and everything, versus, where Amazon's just a price race. So I feel like eBay's almost a better route if you're chasing, like trying to get the most money out of some of these, quarter four hot toy items or whatever it may be that's going to, pop up here in the next month.
Well, here's the reason for why that is. Because everybody knows they go to Amazon, they're paying full retail, right? They go to eBay, they think they're getting a deal. They don't even bother to check Amazon. They're just going straight to eBay because they know things to be cheaper on eBay. So yeah, the same item you could theoretically get cheaper on Amazon, but you're selling it for higher on eBay just because of, I'm not going to call it laziness. I'm just going to call it false expectations by the consumer.
So have you ever had a situation where you bought something that, well, you were in line in the store, you took pictures of an item and it sold before you got out to the car?
Well, I've never done that, to be fair, but I have talked to several people that do that. They're Ben's shoppers. They use the floor as their background. They take photos. They actually have shipping supplies in their car. So if they sell something, they're on the way to the post office, packing in the car or in the parking lot and shipping it right then and there. Then they go home and store, they store because they've already listed it, right? They're just doing the put away. Those guys got some hustle, man. They got some dedication.
I would not be able to live a life like that. It's just too much crap in too many different places. It would, I mean, unless I had like a bread truck or something where, all my stuff is like, my tools are here, this is there, everything's organized. I would not be. I can't even imagine the back of my Hyundai Sonata shipping supplies and oh my
It's
God,
like one of those
forget it.
Blues Brothers trunks, right? If you've seen Blues Brothers 2000, you got the kid in the back, but he's got a full bedroom suite in there.
Yep.
Same thing, just with the shipping station. But I've actually heard there that they've listed it. They're in the line to check out. They haven't bought it yet, but they've already sold it on eBay. That's how crazy that game can be.
I've done that with testing kits, health testing kits from CVS, and I would literally go in, grab every single one. I was paying around, like, I think right around $3.50 to $7 for them, and they were selling for like consistently $55, $65 on eBay. And I would go in, grab every one, use the same photo I had. It was just a picture of the kit on the CVS carpet, and I would list them, and they would sell before I even got to the car, before I even checked out. So I've been there, but I mean, it's like a rush, right? And that time I did go around to other CVSs, because there's basically a CVS, within every
corner, right?
yeah. So I wasn't doing any crazy traveling. You hear stories of people, driving different states and going after these items. So mine wasn't as crazy, but I've lived that thrill, the adrenaline rush of just selling stuff before you even buy it. So
Here's a game I used to play. I used to watch a lot of movies, and I'd buy the expensive ones like from Criterion or Mill Creek or Arrow, because I like all the special features. I do watch that and the commentaries. But here's a game I used to play, and how I pretty much got free movies is I'd watch them. I then list them for about $25 on eBay, more than I bought them for brand new. But I opened it, right? The shrink's gone. But because of the eBay fees, it worked out where I got exactly my money back, and then I do it again, and I still get to watch my movies and maintain my nerdy hobby of watching the cool commentaries and all the other special features. You can do that too. It doesn't even really apply to reselling. That's just supporting your movie habit, right? Without spending $1,000 a month on fancy movies, because you're just spending money, getting your money back. And it's that same initial $50. That's all you're doing.
so on the topic of like Q4, right? Your sales are gonna uptick. So that means whenever you have more sales, you're gonna have more headaches, whether it's Amazon or eBay. If you sell more, you're gonna get more returns. You're gonna get more of this, more of that. So there's a lot of, yeah, sure, the sales are great, but just be prepared for an uptick in the things that are not so great when it comes to reselling business, especially with Amazon. The return policy is just
Stupid.
it's absurd. The fact you could buy something in October and return it, at the middle of January is just it's crazy to me. I don't see how anybody selling seasonal items can even survive, but to each their own.
Do you know about the Audible thing you could do with Audible?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
if you're not familiar with Audible, you buy a token, use these tokens to buy a movie for your library. But no questions asked by Amazon. You don't like it, you can get your token back by just saying, I don't like it. And you can get free Audible books, because they don't care. And they're well aware of it, but because Amazon prides themselves on no questions asked customer, you're a customer, we'll do what you want. And you can so take advantage of that system, and people do.
Oh yeah. I remember when I first started selling books, and there was a lot of talk of people that would basically rent your books, right? They get your book, read it within the 30 days and return it. I'm sure there's a lot of people that still do that.
Yeah.
It's just part of the business. Thankfully for, us used media sellers, it's not a big deal, but that's where you can get yourself into trouble if you're chasing some of these new bolo items, and you're expecting the cash flow to be there, right? So, you can just do the basic math here. If you're spending $30, you're going to make 10, you're looking at 33% ROI, which is that's good for retail arbitrage. It's kind of falls in line. But if you get a return and that item's not new anymore, you can't return it to Target, you're stuck with it. Right there, it eats up 2 or 3 more sales of that same exact item. So I want people to be in the mindset of thinking it all the way through, right? Just because you see that ROI number is X amount of dollars, you got to factor in these returns, because they're going to happen, especially on Amazon. eBay, I don't see nowhere near as many returns. And
I'll speak on that in a moment, but go ahead.
I mean, they do. I'm sure they do happen on eBay. It's a different platform, a different customer. It's a different mindset versus the two platforms. And like when I was selling those test kits, I didn't get a single return, and I probably sold 60 of them. I think I wound up making a few $1,000s off it. And it was crazy, but I didn't get any single return. I had one where they gave me the wrong address. They ordered like 12 of them, and they were even like, "Hey, I'll pay for the shipping back, and I'll take care of it all." And then they wound up. It got back to me. I sent it back to them. Everything worked out smoothly in the end. If that would have been Amazon, it would have been a completely different story. That option would have never even have been there.
So here's the deal on returns with eBay. If you're doing it right, you'll have a 30-day return policy. If you're not doing that, you should, because that's the only way you're going to get top rated status or top rated plus status. I myself offer 60. All of my returns have only been for three different reasons. One, it didn't arrive, the post office lost it, the post office damaged it, or the customer had an issue. They did not feel the item was in the condition I stated. But normally what happens in any three of these scenarios, that customer will message me first before filing a claim, because I send them a message. So there's some kind of correspondence between us already when I do my shipping. And they're like, yo, there's a problem. How can we work this out? And I've offered they can keep the item and I can give them a refund. But usually what happens is they just want part of the money back. Or they say, hey, can you cut me a deal on my next order? So I'm turning a potential bad thing into a positive thing. I had a guy the other day. It's a $60 return because my condition notes were fine, but he was a very particular collector of the things he was buying, and he wanted his things in pristine. These were in the acceptable kind of category. And I explained this to him, and he said, okay, I just want $10 back, not the whole 60, and we'll call it a day. So I gave him his 10 back. I technically sold it for 50 at that point. Each one, the whole cost of goods was $2.50. Did not affect me just because of that customer service interaction. But I can tell you for a fact, after a week after they get it, I've never had a return request on eBay. It's that first week after they get it, because that package may sit on their countertop before they get a chance to open it, right? We all do this. But once they open it, they look at it, they either like it or they don't. If they don't, they usually send me a message that they process the return. On Amazon, it's a whole different thing. There's none of that interaction.
I think, like, when I look at chasing bolos, to round out here the bolo topic of Q4, I think it's worth the look if it's your local big box store especially if you're already shopping there or you're going for something else. It's worth taking a look to see if that item's there, because the ROI on some of these is crazy. Especially if you catch, the hottest item. If you can even get one of those and pump an extra $80 into your business while you're already there shopping or anything, I think that's worth a look in my eyes. But going further than that, maybe if you're feeling lucky, if you're one of these lucky people, like Deb's super lucky. When it comes to luck, my luck sucks. I rarely win at the casino. Powerball, I get one number. That's like the most I've ever gotten in my life. So I don't push my luck. So I mean, sure, if you come across maybe a bunch at one store, maybe the next store will have them because nobody else is out there looking for them. But getting caught up in chasing these leads and these bolo lists, I honestly feel like it takes away from your business focus. And you're going to wind up losing money by chasing, crazy things all around the country.
I got a curious question for you. If you scaled up, like you had another piece of your business that ate up more time, would you bother with those bolo chases at that point?
If I was still going out to get inventory, I would pop in a store here or there.
You still do it. It'd just be less of it, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's one of those things, right? When you start seeing results and what you're focused on, everything else kind of just fades away, right?
That fade fuzzy thing is like, yeah, that's over there, but there's a lot more of what I do up here. Exactly.
The shiny thing doesn't appeal as much as when you're getting results and what you're focused on. So it's one of those things, right? If you're, I guarantee you, right? If you're crushing it right now, and the Walmart 30 minutes away might or might not have this item, you're not going to be so much worried about it as the person who's not seeing the results currently. And they're like, whoa, maybe they have this and I can make an extra $1,000, because that's what you're going to see, right? You're not going to see the TikTok or the post of somebody finding one of the Jaws Furbies. They're finding 30 of them in one store, and they're basically retired now off, Jaws Furbies. But that's not the reality of it. So I can see if maybe you're struggling right now or you're looking for a little bit more cash flow, these things are more enticing. But if you're seeing results, I guarantee you're on the side of, what, it really doesn't matter to me, if whether or not they have them. I'm not worried about that.
See, I redeploy my efforts in thinking about what else can I tack on to my current business. And I'll give a freebie here because I'm not going to do it, I decided. But here's some free money for you people out there. You can do it if you'd like.
Oh, pick me.
Here you go, Mike. You can have this one. I thought about selling dust jackets because I've seen people do this, just the dust jacket only, right? And I noticed that people will pay the same price for the dust jacket versus they can get the whole damn book plus the dust jacket for the same price. And I thought, well, I get a lot of junk, but if I just sold the dust jacket and then I sold the book separately, it's like selling it twice, right? Um, and the storage, because the dust jackets, it's just paper, right? The storage wouldn't be that bad. Um, that's where I put my efforts instead of my bolo hunting like you do. I think about what else can I tack onto the business? How can I add another sales channel with stuff I'm already going out to do or I have already? Dust jackets is a prime example. The other thing I think about is maybe instead of lots, I maybe make like I think what you came across recently or a few months back, there's like those safe things that are inside books. I can get into that because I already have the books, right? So those are the kind of things I think about how I can improve my business. Is there more money to be had with what I already have that's junk kind of thing? And I noodle on this stuff all the time. I could go out and do the bolo thing. Absolutely, I could. Um, but it's a choice I'm making, and I don't think one's more right over the other. I really don't.
I'm gonna find a Walmart Bolo this year, and we're both gonna go to our local Walmarts and try to find it.
Is it a book?
No, it's probably gonna be something stupid, some kind of toy or some kind of
You gonna maybe buy an
wacky,
Xbox?
it's some kind of crazy thing like that. And just for scientific reasons, we're both gonna go and
You didn't
see
even
if we.
stand in line. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't care. You're gonna go and you're gonna see, and if they got them, you're buying them all. And we're gonna be rich.
Oh man.
All right, so getting out of the bolo thing, we'll just kind of shift to like what you should expect to see sales wise. Media, you'll see a little bit of an uptick with media, but other categories are really the strong categories for quarter four, right? Media, we see an influx around textbook season, which comes a few times a year. So quarter four, I mean, don't be if you're selling media, don't expect to see these crazy numbers because you're selling media. It's consistent, right? That's kind of another reason why I love selling media. Once you get your inventory levels, it's consistent across the board. You're not fluctuating up and down, and it almost makes your business more predictable, right? Versus somebody that's selling these categories or seasonal items every year is a different thing. How many you can get, so your business, your income and everything is a little bit harder to predict. But with media sellers, if you're out there listening, you'll see a little bit of a bump. Don't expect anything too crazy. You will see if you have non-media items listed, they're probably going to sell quarter four, no matter what it is, most likely, as long as you're priced correctly. But yeah, so the media sellers, don't get too excited on quarter four. It's not a huge thing for us. Wait till January when the new semester starts, and you get your influx of book orders from kids starting their second, their winter semesters and everything like that. But that's kind of like the overall view in my eyes of sales in quarter four. It's probably the same for you, right? It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it is. And what I've noticed between the two platforms, eBay and Amazon's like you said, a lot steady. I mean, as the inventory trickles down, the what you're getting goes down as well. But even then, that stays steady until you sell more, and it's steady. eBay, it's a lot more spiky. It'll be great sales, bad sale day, great sale, but it all evens out. So it is kind of stable in that regard if you're measuring month to month versus like week to week or day to day. But if you examine the month as a whole, it's about the same as you did last month, maybe a little more, because that's the whole idea with eBay. The more you list, the more you sell. Eventually, you're selling the amount of what you list. So if you're listing 10, you'll sell 10 every day after some amount of time. But I like the stability with Amazon, to be honest with you. It's just a lot more predictable. I send the box in. I know what I'm probably gonna make. I'm gonna sell. Well, what do you think the sell through rate on average is? I mean, if everything was equal, I think it's about 80% of what we send in sells.
Basically, yeah. So you're just going to wind up with 20% after 9 to 12 months. It just
Right.
doesn't sell. I mean, that's just the nature of the business with media. Um,
Yeah, on eBay, it's for me, I think it's about 25% of what I sell a month, basically. And those are from various months, like stuff back in January to stuff I've listed here in November. But it's about 25% of my inventory actually turns over. Like it all turns over. It's just a matter of when on eBay.
Yeah, and I think now's a good time if anybody's sitting out there on some slower moving items. Now is the time to get it up. If you have a pile of stuff where there's no sold comps or one or two sold comps, put it out there for Q4. See if you can make the sale, because if you don't sell it Q4 on Amazon or eBay, it's probably never going to sell. Honestly, that's kind of like my take on it. Like, if you have something listed on Amazon and you're repricing and it doesn't sell within the 9 to 12 months, it's probably never going to sell anywhere
Except eBay.
except eBay. It'll just sit there for 3,000 days.
But you'll sell it on 3,000 in one day. It's a thing.
Imagine if, I guess it wouldn't work because they couldn't charge you for
I want to know what this is. What is it?
If there was like basically a fee to have like your items listed over X amount of days on eBay. Like, what if they decided they only wanted faster moving stuff on their platform? So if your item was listed over a year, then they start charging you like a quarter a month or something to keep it
They already
listed.
do that, man. With the subscriptions, that's how they get away with it, because people don't want to pay those listing fees. They say, hey, get our fancy subscription, and you'll get a coupon to buy more stuff at eBay. eBay is very smart about that, and it's not in your face recognizable, but they're clearing money from every eBay seller. They're getting, I think my store subs like $50 something a month. They're getting $50 a month out of me every month, just for me selling on their platform. And then when I sell an item, right, I got all those fees on top of that. So eBay's got a great thing going. They're collecting money no matter what.
Q4 customer service. Amazon doesn't exist. If you get those stupid questions from customers, there's a little button that says no response needed. Guess what? Guess what I've hit every single time I've gotten one of those? No response needed. I am not wasting my time. That's the reason anybody sells on Amazon versus eBay, right? As one of the big appeals is you don't have to deal with the customers. I highly recommend always hitting that no response needed. Even if you answer them, it's a waste of time. Now, eBay is usually a different story. That usually you get a message, it's for a reason. Every once in a while, sure, you'll get a stupid message. Hey, how many pages are in this book or something like that, right? Things that really aren't that important. Just personal preference if you want to answer it or not. I usually always do because it only takes a second to do. But it can be, some of them can get, crazy when they ask certain things about, somebody asked me to look through a whole Bible to see if like how many pages were highlighted. And I said, I'm not looking through this, 700-page large print study Bible to count how many pages are highlighted for you. I'm selling it for $30. It is not worth my time.
Well, I'm not going to debate the fact that there is a lot of, I got to do this customer service. I had to measure a book the other day. Why does he care? Does he have certain dimensions on his shelves? He needs to know how big it is? Sure. But I would speak on the positive side. And this is the customer service that makes me so happy. I got a letter back from a guy about a month after he ordered it. He sent me a message and he thanked me for the book because he was recovering for cancer. And it really helped him through that process. That made me feel good that I could supply him during his recovery. And I've gotten similar things like that of the book affected somebody in some way. And that makes me feel good as a bookseller. Yeah, there's the bad side like you're talking about. I got to measure a book, or, I got to look up this thing on this page. There's also a positive side, and it's very uplifting in that regard because we can get into the grind and blah, blah, blah. And then we get something like that, like, my days have gotten a lot better. I did something good in the world today.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Resellers Mindset Podcast. Today's full episode and all previous episodes are available to all YouTube members, along with the weekly Zoom call and private Discord. Head on over to youtube.com/theusedbookguy and consider joining for as little as $2.99 a month.